This video is here to help you when calculating percentages of amounts, which can be done in only one step. The word percent means out of 100. A percentage is a way of recording the parts out of 100. For example, 100% means 100 parts out of 100 parts, which is equal to 1 whole. Let's start by looking at a visual representation of some percentages. We already have established that 100% is 100 parts out of 100, or 1 whole. 50% is 50 parts out of 100. This is the same as a half. To find 50% of a number, we halve it or divide by 2. 25% is 25 parts out of 100. This is the same as a quarter. To find 25% of a number, we halve it and halve it again, or divide by 4. 20% is 20 parts out of 100. This is the same as 1/5. To find 20% of a number, we find 1/5 of it, or divide by 5. 10% is 10 parts out of 100. This is the same as 1/10. To find 10% of a number, we find 1/10 of it, or divide by 10. 1% is 1 part out of 100. This is the same as 1/100th. To find 1% of a number, we find 1/100th of it, or divide by 100. Now we can use these facts to find some percentages of amounts. Let's start with the number 240. 100% of 240 is the whole amount, or 240. To find 50% of 240, we divide by 2. 240 divided by 2 equals 120. So 50% of 240 is 120. To find 25% of 240, we divide by 4. 240 divided by 4 equals 60. So 25% of 240 is 60. What do you notice about 50% and 25%? 25 is half of 50, and 25% is half of 50%. To find 20% of 240, we divide by 5. 240 divided by 5 equals 48, so 20% of 240 is 48. To find 10% of 240, we divide by 10. 240 divided by 10 equals 24, so 10% of 240 is 24. Look carefully at the relationship between 20% and 10%. 10 is half of 20, and 10% is half of 20%. And to find 1% of 240, we divide by 100. 240 divided by 100 equals 2.4. So 1% of 240 is 2.4. Now it's over to you. Pause and calculate the percentages of the amounts. Unpause when you're ready to check your answers. Here are the answers. How did you get on? And finally, it's time for a quick challenge. Look at these statements about the percentages of amounts, and you need to decide if they are true or if they are false. To find 1% of an amount, you can divide it by 10 and then divide it by 10 again. To find 20% of an amount, you can divide the amount by 20. To find 30% of an amount, you find 10% and 20% and then add them together. Pause here and decide which of these statements you agree with. Let's check your answers. The first statement was correct. Dividing by 100 is the same as dividing by 10 and then dividing by 10 again. The second statement is incorrect. To find 20% of an amount, you need 20 out of 100, which is equal to 1/5, so you divide by 5, not 20. The third statement is correct. You can calculate other percentages by adding or subtracting percentages. You can find out more about this if you watch the video Percentages of an Amount Multi-Step. I hope that this video has helped you to calculate simple percentages of amounts using division. If you would like to find any more videos just like this one, make sure you head to the Twinkl website to check them out. See you next time! This video is here to help you when calculating percentages of amounts which require more than one calculation. Remember, the word percent means out of 100. A percentage is a way of recording the number of parts out of 100. If you haven't already watched it, it's a good idea to watch our other video on how to find percentages of amounts using single steps. In that video, we learnt how to calculate the following percentages. To find 50% of an amount, you divide it by 2. To find 25% of an amount, you divide it by 4. To find 20% of an amount, you divide it by 5. To find 10% of an amount, you divide it by 10. And to find 1% of an amount, you divide it by 100. Here is a visual representation of how each of these percentages relate to 100% or one whole. Now we're going to look at how we can use these facts to calculate other percentages. For example, to find 30%, we could add 20% and 10% together, or we could find 10% and we could multiply it by 3. How could we calculate 75% of an amount using the percentages in this image? Pause here and come up with 3 different ways. While there are lots of different ways we can make 75%, here are some possibilities. We could find 50% and 25%, then add them together. We could find 25% and multiply by 3. We could find 20%, 20%, 10% and 25% and add them all together, although this wouldn't be as efficient as the other methods. We could also use subtraction. We could find 100% and 25% and then subtract the 25% from the 100%. Now let's use some of these strategies to calculate a percentage of an amount. What is 40% of 300? First, we can calculate 10% of 300. We find 10% by dividing by 10. 300 divided by 10 is 30, so 10% of 300 is 30. Now we have 10%, we can multiply it by 4 to find 40%. 30 multiplied by 4 is 120, so 40% of 300 is 120. Now it's your turn. Use the steps which we have already gone through to calculate the percentages of amounts. Pause here and then come back to check your answers. Here are the answers. How did you get on? Now it's time for a challenge. Which of these methods to calculate 5% are incorrect? All of the statements were correct except the one in the red box. If you divide an amount by 10, this would give you 10%, and then multiplying it by 5 would give you 50%, not 5. All the others are acceptable ways of calculating 5%. I hope that this video helped you to calculate complex percentages of amounts. If you're looking for any more maths videos just like this one, make sure you head to the Twinkl website to check them out. See you next time! This video is here to help you calculate missing values in percentages. If you haven't already, it might be really useful to watch our other videos on how to calculate percentages of amounts. To recap, a percentage is the number of parts out of 100. This percentage rule shows the relationship between different percentages. For example, we can see that 2 lots of 50% make 100%, 4 lots of 25% make 100%, 10 lots of 10% make 100%, and so on. We can use these relationships to work out missing values. For example, if we know 20% of a number, we can multiply it by 5 to find 100% or the whole number. Let's try it. 20% of a number is 30. What is the number? 30 multiplied by 5 equals 150. So the number is 150. Use this bar model to help you answer the question, 25% of a number is 17. What is the number? Well, if 25% equals 17, then 100% equals 17 multiplied by 4, which is 68. How can we calculate 100% if we know 30%? 30% isn't in our percentage rule, but we can use 30% to find 10% by dividing it by 3. Then we can find 100% by multiplying the 10% by 10. So let's try it. 30% of a number is 24. What is the number? We can use this bar model to help us to find 100%. Let's start by writing in what we already know. 30% is 24. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So 10% of the number is 8. If we know 10%, we can multiply that by 10 to get 100%. 8 multiplied by 10 equals 80. So therefore, our answer is 80. Now it's your turn. If 75% of a number is 48, what is 100%? Think about what values in our percentage wall could help and draw a bar model to help you to calculate 100% to find the answer. Did you use 25% to help you find the answer? If 75% is 48, then 25% is 48 divided by 3, which is 16. If 25% is 16, then 100% is 16 multiplied by 4, which is 64. If 75% of a number is 48, then our number is 64. Sometimes the easiest method is to find 1% and then find 100%. For example, if you're given a value of 17% of a number, you could first divide by 17 to find 1%, then multiply by 100 to find 100%. Use this method to solve the problem. If 32% of a number is 96, then what is the number? Here is the answer. How did you do? Now it's time for a challenge. Use the bar model to help you to solve the problem. Read each of the pieces of information carefully, then pause to work out your answer. There are vanilla, strawberry and chocolate cupcakes in a box. 40% of the cupcakes are vanilla. There are the same number of chocolate cupcakes as vanilla cupcakes, and there are 5 strawberry cupcakes. How many of each flavour of cupcake are in the box? If you're finding this challenge difficult, you can unpause the video for a hint. Here's your hint. Start by making a bar model like this to show the percentages of different flavours, then find the values. Because we know there are the same amount of chocolate cupcakes as vanilla cupcakes, we know that 40% of the cupcakes are chocolate. This means the remaining 20% must be strawberry. The only number we have is for strawberry cupcakes, so we know that 20% is 5. We can then double this to find the number of vanilla cupcakes and chocolate cupcakes. There are 10 vanilla cupcakes, 5 strawberry cupcakes, and 10 chocolate cupcakes. I hope that this video has helped you to understand how to calculate missing percentages. If you're looking for any more videos just like this one, make sure you head to the Twinkl website to check them out. See you next time!